Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So Super Eagles hopeful George Elenikana got in the spotlight of the UEFA Champions League this week as he equaled the record previously held by Kanu Nwankwo as the youngest African player to reach 15 UEFA Champions League games. Kanu did that, just by being 19 years and 260 days year old. And then for Elenikana, yesterday's appearance in the match between Monaco and Real Madrid, he was 19 years and 251 days old for that match. So he has now broken that record, of a fellow countryman. Of course, Elenikana is still very much eligible to represent the Super Eagles, and I'm sure NFF are working behind closed doors to try and see how to get that one sorted out. Of course, it's going to be a very strong tug of war with countries that are also showing interest, like France. But as it stands, good one for the man. Even though that match yesterday was a very terrible match because they got slashed by Real Madrid 6 goals to 0. Mbappe scoring 2 goals, Mustant one scored one of them. Kere scored an own goal, and then Vinicius Junior scored. Bellingham scored as well, but Elenikana came in just to make that appearance and then set the record. But still on the Champions League, of course, Victor Osimhen was given the nod to start today's Champions League game, but unfortunately they could not win the match against Atletico Madrid. They're even lucky, to come from behind to equalize that one. But I mean, at the end of the day, um, it's still a positive result. I mean, 1 point is better than no points, so it's still something that will help them to try and see if they can get into the qualification zone with future games coming up. But for Osimhen's minutes on the pitch, I was actually surprised he played the full 90 minutes of that game and did all he could, tried his best to see if he could get the winner or at least a goal for his side, but it didn't work out for him. So they played 0-0. And then talk about Dimola Lukman. They are currently slugging it out right now. And for Ademola Lukman, Atlanta are currently losing to Atletico Bilbao 3 goals to 1. When I first checked it, I saw that Atlanta were winning in the first half. Goal scored by Scamacha early on in the 16th minute, but then right now the match is getting towards I think the end of it. It's 81 minutes now, and Bilbao have been able to overturn the goal deficit to lead by 3 goals to 1. Lukman didn't start that match, but he was introduced in the 66 minutes. They are still currently playing right now. I don't think there's anything for them in this match. But you know, uh, let's move on and talk about some more reaction from the legend Sunday Lucy. Of course, he has really set the news pages, sports news pages, and of course social media, with Nigerians fans on fire right now with his latest statement. When he apportioned blame to Victor Osimhen as being the reason why the Super Eagles did not go on and win the title. And yes, there was something I didn't add, in the previous video. So part of what he also said in that very shocking statement, is that he said that it's time, it's time. It's the time is now for him to come out and say the truth about what he has been holding in for a long time. He said he and his colleagues they had been holding it in for a long time. The way that things were done at the national team for years and all of that. That he he intentionally didn't want to talk about them, especially during the time that Afcon was being played, because he didn't want the attention to be drawn to him. He didn't want to cause any kind of distraction, with the team or cause any confusion. So he didn't want to say anything. But now that the Nations Cup has ended, and with we've seen the results, and we took third place. He said it's high time that he came out and talked about all the things that had been bothering him, that they've been keeping secret for a long, long time. This is the time to talk about it, and that's obviously why he came out and said that piece about Victor Osimhen, even though it came out really bad. But this is what he said. My colleagues and I have stayed silent for years, but I won't stay silent about the downfall of our football. We need to get back to being respected. I didn't speak during the 2025 AFCON tournament because I didn't want to be a distraction. I let the football do the talking. But now that the trophy has been decided and it is time for the truth, if we don't fix the discipline and the administration, there won't be a Super Eagles left to support. So this is part of what Oliseh uh, came out to say. Apparently, he's trying to save our football. He's trying to save the football in Nigeria by addressing this issue, because he feels that if he doesn't talk about what has been going on, for years in the team, and also something that he still sees that is currently going on, then obviously nobody will talk about it, and it will continue to destroy the football in Nigeria. So hence he needs to come out and talk about it. And that statement is obviously very scary, because it just shows us that there might be a lot of things more in the bags for him to bring bring out, and talk about. And then you can't help but wonder, will this thing repair football in Nigeria? Will it correct football? Will it cause more trouble? Will it cause more issues with on about football in Nigeria? Because we all know that sometimes there are things that are not meant to be said. There's a saying that it's not everything that a man sees that he talks about or that he speaks about. Personally, I think there are some things that you can't say because of what might be at stake when you say these things, and how bad it might spoil things, you know. So, but we'll wait for him, of course, and see what he comes out and says, particularly about what he and his teammates endured during their time, and also things that he's still discovering, that is playing out in the national team currently. But again, there's this very terrible news coming from one of our players who really, really represented us well in Morocco at the recently concluded AFCON. I'm talking about Semi Ajayi, the Gentle Giant. There's a very unfortunate news for this man right now, and it's the fact that he has been confirmed now to have sustained a hamstring injury. He picked up that injury in the third place match against Egypt. If you notice, it was substituted just minutes before the penalty shootouts was being played, and a lot of us thought that Semi was clandestinely or using style to avoid playing a penalty. But the truth is, it was serious. And right now, he has, yeah, of course, he traveled back to his club side, Hull City, and the medical team did some tests on him, and they found out that he really injured his hamstring, and he's going to stay out for up to 7 weeks, and that's really a lot of time, considering that he just came back from injury from that same hamstring shortly before he got called up by the Super Eagles. And as a matter of fact, that was what his coach at Hull was very afraid of. He said that he's afraid that Semi, during that period, he was just getting treated. He was just coming back from hamstring, and Nigeria called him, and the coach was very concerned. He said, if Nigeria can leave Semi for them, because he's not that fully fit, he's just recovering from injury, that they will like it so much, but he cannot hold him. If he wants to go, he can go, but he just wants him to come back without injury. And that was the fear of the coach. But right now, Semi Ajayi is coming back with an injury. So unfortunate, but wish him all the best. He's a strong man, strong guy, and one thing I like about him is that anytime he comes back, he doesn't need too much time to get into form, to get into playing his best football. That's one quality that Semi has, and all the best to him.